Hey guys, welcome back. It's Nathan Masters for Brick System Brothers with another modular expansion project. So I'm trying to do one of these a month. Last month I did Market Street, and today I'm going to walk you through the Townhouse expansion project. This is from the 2019 modular, the bookshop and townhouse. It was kind of two of these half width, and then you could swap them around. So I actually just modified the townhouse. The bookshop is still its original kind of set version. Building. I might do that one in the future, but this month just focused on the townhouse. I put an extra floor on kind of the right side, and this was a comprehensive remodel, so completely redid the back of the structure as well. And of course, everything is still removable and accessible. So today, walking through this project, taking a little tour, and I'll show you guys what's inside. So the first thing you might notice is kind of messy work area here, and I wanted to leave this out. This is basically what it looked like when I put the last pieces in place, and just kind of the work environment that I find myself most efficient in is kind of an open workspace, and then a variety of parts out to kind of just mix through. And as I try different things that do and don't work, this just kind of piles up over the course of several hours. I think this project was probably 8 hours all said and done to get completely down and back up, and then I'm still putting in a little bit of time on the instructions. So that's just taking the form of building the model in Studio, the digital builder, and then you can export that and completely customize each step of the process to a PDF. So eventually I'll have that done as well, and then this will be ready for Rebrickable, and that's where I try to share most of my mock projects that I want other people to be able to build. So the townhouse itself, this isn't substantially different from the original layout of the set. In fact, the entire first floor is essentially unchanged except for a little bit of support that I added for the balcony that is new on the second floor. So this small section here, basically what I ended up doing was taking out the top two rows of plates and tiles, adding in a few small wedge plates, and then building this back in. And what this does is help support the balcony. I guess that's where we could start. With the completely redone second floor, it now has this 8x8 semicircular balcony. So 8x4, and then the part that actually sticks out is kind of that 3x8 section, and this uses the railing, and this is just centered over the rear door of the house. Actually, something that I changed right away when I built this set almost 2 years ago, I swapped around the door colors, and so the brown door was initially up front, and then the azure door was in the back. I actually like having the azure door in the front because it matches up with the window trim. Oh, and that reminds me, this is something that I just got the parts in to swap out. So this second bay window is all new, and the bottom first floor bay window has a tall and then a short. The second floor, just to help get that compacted a little bit, is just two short ones stacked, and I just got two more in on Bricklink so that I can finish this up. And there you go, swapped them out. It's pretty quick. So yeah, that's kind of the main layout now, is continuing the bay windows up. And then the other thing that I did with changing the main structure was this kind of bay gable end. This was down at the same level as this other side. I brought that out more and then up to kind of bring that in more in line with kind of the tower structure that I wanted to go with, and give this just a little bit more of street presence. If you're down at street level, this is now kind of more of an overhang. Before it was set back and there was a little curved roof over the bay window. So I did want to change a lot of that, and I ended up bringing this section up by a stud as well. Look at the interior in a sec, but along the side you can see now The fireplace from the first floor did have a little bit of this color blocking. The second floor initially had no fireplace, and I have now completely installed a new one. A lot of that came down to the original design wanted to include this bed. So this minifig bed needed room in the second floor, and the fireplace was omitted. So I think there's probably still a good way to include the bed. It might have to be narrowed down to 4 studs, but this now has a fireplace. And then the third floor has a chimney stack, but there's no actual hearth on the third floor. And then this third floor section removes kind of halfway, so you've got this kind of 8x16-ish section that will lift off from the tiles. That will give you access to the third floor landing, the stair landing, and then there's kind of this little roof section, and then that goes down into the main second floor, which has now been considerably expanded out. Kind of one of the main purposes of the project was to just give a lot more interior room to this townhouse. Let's bring the camera in a little bit closer, and I'll give you guys a better view of kind of the different areas of the build. So this is the third floor. This is what's pretty much all new here. I did bring the original chimney kind of structure back in. It's something I could just pop on and off pretty easily. But then a lot of the back side here is pretty much all new. Lift this off here, and we have the 2 main floors, so the second and the third floor. I think across the Atlantic it's first and second floor, but just a matter of how you denominate that. The balcony, like I said, is kind of the main feature on the back for this second floor, and then I also built in this kind of other gable on the back side. It's got the footprint that kind of matches the balcony, and then it kind of narrows into this little this mini peak over here. Now the way that I'm able to separate the 2 halves is actually splitting it along the side of this window structure. And so even though this kind of appears coherent across the front, it actually splits right here. And the only connection is going to be a few studs in among the tiles. So this entire structure here is all tied together with plates and studs. That's not designed to come apart at all. The plates on the top are all locked in, and there should be, you know, enough room to kind of get in, pose minifigs, that kind of thing. So the fireplace here, you can get a little better view now, the dark red kind of style, and the small arch. A couple of clips will hold your shovel and broom, and then that continues up in the 2x2 footprint. The bay window, kind of the same concept as the first floor, where it just has that interior access. In the original building, this is where this other dark blue started coming in, and this was the area used for the bed. And now that the fireplace is in here, the bed no longer fits like it did originally. So I don't know if this would still work as a good bedroom. It's more of kind of a second floor room now. The balcony has access from kind of a double door here, and I would like to have used white, these doors in white, but I think I used one of the ones I needed in the Market Street, so these are light gray. These do open inward, and the way that these doors hinge, there's a slight interference. So this isn't 100% legal build, and that's what I try to stick to usually, is the standard from official sets, where you're not stressing elements, there's no interference. So that kind of does break the LEGO standard. I feel like LEGO wouldn't put this technique in a set just because of the way that the hinge interferes along the back here, but I don't think it's something that will break the parts over a long period of time, so I'm going to leave it like that. And then those spiral stairs are new. These come up from kind of above the original steps from the first floor, and then they spiral up. They make a 90-degree turn to this landing here. I thought about trying to make this gable window kind of expanded so that this landing could get some of that access to the window as well, but it's kind of just walled off. So to help counter that, I did put the skylight back in on the back side, and that's directly over these spiral stairs. So that does come in nicely there. And then the removable section of this third floor does have this access as well. In fact, I built it so that the roof plates can come off. They do attach kind of on these clip plates. So there's 2 attachment points there. That does lift off for accessibility, but it's also open right here. Just kind of, you can get in there, and yeah, this could definitely be furnished a little bit more. I think this is where the bed would go back in nicely with slight modifications, and it wouldn't actually take too much. If you just wanted to leave the chimney stack out, this bed could go back in as is, and it wouldn't need to be modified at all. So you've got the main gable window on the front side of the building, kind of intact. This whole sizing is pretty much original to the set, and then on the back is half of that rear-facing window gable structure. The same window design is kept for here above the front door, but I actually extended this blue, the dark blue, up by a couple of plates to get this roof up a little higher. And again, that's just coming into play with the stair landing here. I needed this roof to be high enough so that, you know, it'd be believable where minifigs will walk up the stairs, turn the corner. You know, we don't want this being only 3 studs high. So this was something I did have to change a couple iterations through. Realized, yeah, I do need to extend this roof up just to give a little bit more room on that third floor up there. And really like how that turned out. We're just sitting about a brick below the roof height for the main section of the third floor. Everything kind of tying back in nicely there. You also have this kind of the split level effect going on, which I like the split level designs, so I'm glad that I was able to bring that in. But yeah, I feel like there is maybe a little bit too much going on in the back with just different window designs in the balcony. If I were to go in and change something now, it would be trying to tone this down, but keeping in mind where this does split off, that has to be functional as well, and it doesn't want to look too tacky. So building this window the way that I did is kind of a way to hide that. And overall, I am pretty happy with how that turned out and how that integrates with the original first floor. Almost seamlessly is what I was trying to go for there. So now that this has been modified, you might wonder how it looks next to the original version of the bookstore. I think it's still decent, significantly higher than it was, taller than it was, but it still has about the same level of overall building height, and I think that helps it. It doesn't, doesn't necessarily steal the entire show from the bookstore now. Now, there are things that I'd like to change on the bookstore. I think keeping these as 2 separate projects is a fine place to start for now. That's one thing I thought about doing, was trying to modify both buildings this month and kind of treating this as, it is a single set. Both of these buildings were together in the set, but at the same time, they're separate entities. It's really easy to kind of mix these in a modular layout just about anywhere, and they do look pretty good besides other modulars as well. So I am going to keep that separate. The bookstore I'd like to come back to, and at the very least, I think this deserves a couple more studs going back, but that will be a project for another day. The townhouse was the main thing that I had ideas for pretty much as soon as I had it bought and built. I knew that I wanted to do some things different here. Mission accomplished, I would say. So, pretty happy with how this turned out. The front especially, I think, is about where I want it. You might have noticed there's a few tiles here yet that I do need to pick up just to finish out the cosmetics. So, I got those windows in. The windows are complete now. The digital model I'm working on, I am actually making a few tweaks as I go. You might see where there's a few white spots showing through, and then the way that I tied in the floor, I think, used too many plates. So as I work on the actual instruction copy, I'm making a few changes just for overall saving a few parts and kind of simplicity as well. So not quite as overbuilt. Sometimes I tend to overbuild things and try to take that out in the instruction making round. so I'm working on that as well. But in terms of reusing the parts that I did take out, basically starting at this floor, this is almost a new build, and a lot of the parts I did mix back in addition to many new pieces as well. So if you do want to build this, it's going to take more than just the original set. This is considered a modification and not an alternate build, if you keep that in mind. So keep an eye out for this instruction pack as a mock, officially as a modification on Rebrickable. That is coming out at some point in 2022. It's not quite ready yet, but overall pretty happy with this modular expansion project, and next month it is hopefully going to be another one. I've got a couple different modulars to choose from, so we'll see what that ends up being, but mission accomplished for December 2021 with the Townhouse modular expansion. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you next time on Brick System Brothers.